Miami's roller coaster season rolls on with a blowout loss in Portland. Just a nightmare game where the Heat couldn't shoot and were crushed on the boards. And Wes, can Miami turn things around in time to save this West Coast road trip?
Road trip? What about the season?
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang and become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. David, recording this late after the Heat's loss to the Trailblazers on Thursday night. The Heat got outscored by a bunch from three-point range. Portland made 23s in this game. Miami made 9. You know, I'm not a math guy, but I think that's being outscored by 33 points from beyond the arc. They did manage to cut it to 7 points in the fourth quarter, but turnovers and more threes helped the Blazers pull away. Just an ugly loss. The Heat dropped to 1-2 on this trip. We'll talk about Nikola Jovic and that problem and whether or not we think that the Heat are as bad as their record says they are in a second. But let's start with the game. What was your big takeaway?
Yeah, like I said before, Miami relying on being able to get out in transition, create shot opportunities that really weren't there, and not able to do so because they were just crushing the board. For every time they missed a wide open shot, Portland was there snatching the rebound, stifling another offensive possession for the Heat, and then they weren't able to muster any kind of consistent offense throughout the game. And when they did have those opportunities, well, they just weren't able to capitalize on them. Really good at the rim, really bad from beyond the arc, and they were just horrific in trying to knock down those three-pointers, shooting just 20% on the night. So without that kind of stability, without any kind of go-to offense, especially from the perimeter, Miami just wasn't able to keep pace with a Portland team that's been pretty plucky this season.
Yeah, I mean, the headline here is the three-point shooting, right? And if Portland comes into the game, they're the worst three-point shooting team in the league by percentage, and they forgot about that tonight. They look like nobody could miss, right? And Denny Avdia goes off, and then he leaves in the third quarter, and then Shaedon Sharpe just takes the baton and says, okay, I got it. It's fine. So it was a little bit of an outside, game for the Blazers. But again, that's easy to look at that and just say, well, you know what, make or miss. 3-point shot goes in for them, doesn't go for, and maybe that's probably 80% accurate, right? But at the same time, process and results. I talk about it all the time. And you nailed it. It's okay. Maybe you can't control how many threes they're making. They made a lot of tough ones in this game. Although I do have some of my gripes about some of the defensive decision making by Erik Spoelstra in this game. We'll talk about that in a second. But you also have to control the controllables. And this team has talked about the formula lately quite a bit. And part of that formula is creating extra possessions and winning that margin battle, specifically with offensive rebounds. And the Blazers in this game, they won the offensive rebounding battle by a large margin in this one. They rebounded 45% of their own misses in the half court in this game. Miami they did well on the offensive rebounding part of it. They got 34.8%, almost 35%. That's a really good mark. Like, Miami did fine creating offensive rebounds and second chance points. The problem was that it doesn't matter if you're going to give up way more second chance points. Then you lose the margin, right? That's why you call it a margin. You got to take care of the defensive glass. The Heat for years have been an elite defensive rebounding team, especially with Bam on the court. But when Bam was off the court in this game, they were just leaking offensive rebounds to the Portland Trailblazers. How many second chance points did they have in this game? They had 18. Miami had 22, but that's not enough of a margin when you're getting outscored by 33 from three-point range.
Yeah, that was pretty much the game right there. And look, I know that the defense wasn't exactly solid in allowing some of those wide open shots, but Portland was able to make those. But I think when I look at this game, it was really Miami's offense that was most troubling to me. The defense wasn't great, but I think, again, Portland was just maybe an outlier performance from three-point range. you can't really rely on that too much. As you said, it was about being able to focus on what you weren't able to do offensively and not being able to go after those rebounds. It seemed like nobody really had, especially in the reserve unit, whether it's Nikola Jovic or anybody else, not really seeking out rebounds, not really getting those opportunities, and then just kind of, again, not being able to capitalize on those possessions from 3-point range. And I don't think it was Portland's defense, to be honest with you. I don't think Portland defended Miami particularly well, but they had those open looks and just weren't able to knock them down. So a disappointing performance. We talked about this against the Kings game. Yeah. But against a Portland team that was trying to win this game and has shown some great effort throughout the course of the season, I think it was pretty clear that Miami wasn't going to be able to pull out that victory. Again, very, very, very strange loss from Miami because they just weren't able to do those things that they have relied on so much. So to knock down those shots against Sacramento, certainly an easier task than doing so against a Portland team, but it shouldn't have been this bad. Like a lot of those looks were wide open from either Norm Powell, Bam Adebayo, etc.
Yeah.
Nobody was able to hit from beyond their arc.
Yeah, Norm Powell didn't make a three-pointer for the first time in a very long time in this game, and that kind of tells you everything you need to know about this game. But there was a number of sort of back and forths that were just typical of what this game kind of was, right? Like in the fourth quarter, they do cut the deficit down to 7 points, and it was actually down to 10 points earlier in the fourth quarter. And Donovan Clingan steps into a three-pointer. Bam is playing off of him, which is the right decision, and Clingan hits the three. You live with that, but it was that kind of night, right? It's like, oh man, of course, like we cut the lead to 10, and then Clingan hits a three-pointer. He's capable of making it, but again, that's the type of shot that you live with. There was a number of back and forths that were kind of like that in this game. I'm looking at the shot chart here. Miami goes 3 of 13 on corner threes. I mean, that's a crazy low number. They were really good at the rim, 25 of 26 at the rim. That's one of those spots that I'm always watching for with the Heat is, can they get guys like Bam and Jaime and Pella when he's aggressive and cutting and all that stuff? Like, those are the guys that are able to get to the rim, and if they're able to convert, that bodes well for the Heat's offense typically. It did again, it's easy to look like, well, you're getting to the rim so easily and scoring so much at the rim. Why did you take 45 threes? Well, it's because you were in that hole so early that you kind of had to play catch up. So, just looking at the box score isn't enough, but you do look at the shot chart and you say, yeah, it's kind of hard to say that like they weren't getting the shots that they wanted. To me, it was those other things in terms of the offensive rebounding. They didn't lose the turnover battle, but they didn't win it overwhelmingly in the sense that, again, it would have made up for the 3-point shooting margin. Defensively, I did have some questions about go ahead. Jump in.
I just want to say something about the turnovers because I think, again, when they cut that lead down to 7, there were a couple costly turnovers, whether it was Jaime bobbling the ball or a behind-the-back pass on Pelle Larsson, Simone Fontecchio with another costly turnover. Like, there were just costly mistakes there that kind of showed that Miami was playing more sloppily than usual, or at least when they are at their very worst. And it just is a very Jekyll and Hyde team kind of thing. And where they were at their very worst today, again, not knocking down those shots, not going after rebounds, and then just coughing up the ball frequently, and key possessions there where had they been able to be a little bit more protective of the ball and maybe got a better look at the rim, maybe they could have cut that lead to 5 and to kind of build more momentum from there. Instead, they wind up turning it over, and then it's a wide open Shaedon Sharpe 3 on the other end there.
6 of their 15 turnovers were in the fourth quarter. I mean, talk about turning it over at the wrong time. That's exactly what happened there. I'm not really sure why we saw much zone in this game when Portland was shooting it. Like, it wasn't a ton of zone, but there was a little bit of zone there in the third quarter in particular where I'm like, Portland's shooting, like, they're hot from 3-point. Why are we daring them to shoot from the perimeter? I didn't understand that decision from Erik Spoelstra. Did it lose them the game? I don't know. But there was a few things there. And then in transition, despite the turnovers, the Heat defended okay in transition off of steals, but they were really bad defending off of live rebounds, according to Cleaning the Glass. Like, they were not good there. And so that maybe speaks to a lack of effort. Maybe it speaks to the fact that this was, their third game in 4 nights on the road on the West Coast, like whatever it was. The effort also it didn't feel like it was there the way that you hoped it would be there coming off of that win against Sacramento. By the way, Portland has won 4 straight games. They're playing well. Like, that's not a bad basketball team. You might look at the Trailblazers and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost that. That's not a bad basketball team, even with Denny leaving there. There's good players on that roster, and they're playing well lately. If we were handing out blame pie, though, I think the biggest slice would probably go to Nikola Jovic. We'll talk about the Heat's options with that after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. And that's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. You can see the view from your seat before buying, and that makes choosing tickets easy and confident. You know exactly what the view of the stage, the court, wherever venue you're going to be going to. If you've never been there before, you'll know exactly what you're getting. And the price is something you can't beat because you know exactly what you're paying as soon as you make that click. It's no hidden fees, no strange amount at the end there. You know exactly what you're going to pay, and that's exactly what Game Time delivers. And they've got great deals throughout the season to make getting those tickets even more cheap than ever before. Whether it's an NBA game or any other live event, everything is right there in one place. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets or any kind of tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off. Game Time. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen of the day. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Let's talk a little bit more about Nikola Jovic. So Ira Winderman reported before the game that Kel'el Ware is expected to miss the rest of the trip, that he's actually back in Miami nursing this hamstring injury. And so not awesome there. He's your only backup center. Vlad Golden, by the way, is with the G League team, so he's not even with you on this trip either. Not that he's clearly not ready to play. The Heat have not played him all season, so it's not necessarily an option there. So not only are you losing Kel'el, you're down Kel'el Ware for now and the rest of this road trip. We already knew that Tyler Herro was going to miss the rest of this trip too. Also, Davion Mitchell missed this game, unclear when he's going to make his return. But in terms of Kel'el Ware, it's Nikola Jovic getting those backup center minutes right now. And in this game, David, they were a disaster. It was a bad game for Nico offensively. It was a bad game for him defensively. It just felt like every time Bam went to the bench, and Bam had an awesome game tonight. I mean, it was another two-way kind of big-time performance from him. Exactly the kind of aggression that you want to see from Bam, right? Going at Donovan Clingan over and over and over. If anything, I felt like they could have probably spammed that even more than they did in this game, but eventually, you had to make some threes to make up, you couldn't just keep going with twos. But every time he went to the bench, the Trailblazers lead just ballooned, and Nico was a big reason for that. What's going on with him?
I have no idea. I saw it particularly against the Kings, that same kind of body language that we've noted ever since he was a rookie, where he kind of gets in his head, he misses a shot, he puts his head down, and then finally hits one, and he raises his head up, like almost like to say, "Thank you, finally, I'm able to hit one." I didn't see that today, but at the same time, he was even worse. I think like the moments there where he had the opportunity to make something happen, we didn't see any kind of quality production from him. So not only is he not hitting shots, but he's not doing anything. He's not boxing out. He's not closing out well. He's not doing the little things defensively. He's not pulling down rebounds. He's not creating opportunities for others. I mean, listen, I know he wound up with 5 rebounds on the night. I don't even know how that happened, to be honest with you, because none of those felt like they led to anything of value for Miami. And so it's just a matter of Nico being like a speed bump on Miami's offense, because he's just not able to do anything effectively. And defensively, again, he's still not at that point where he's making any kind of a positive impact. So just really, really bad game. I didn't see anything in particular from him that kind of said, oh, okay, well, at least there's potential there. And so I can hear Portland fans who have long talked about the potential package for Dame Lillard, and Nikola Jovic was apparently part of that, or reportedly part of that. And, now I can imagine Blazers fans going, well, I'm glad we don't have Nikola Jovic in our roster.
I'm not going to lie. I thought the same. I'm watching that game and I see Damian Lillard in street clothes on the bench, and I was like, I thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely thought about that whole situation. It was a weird game. He was missing all of his shots short. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
with Nico.
Yeah. A 3-point shot air ball. Like, that's weird.
He shorted an air ball. Like you don't really see that. You usually see that air ball.
Yeah. Left or right.
Left or
not
right
short
when
or
you're kind
long.
of shooting off to the side. You don't see him just short it that badly. And that was after he shorted a number of one. His first, he checks in midway through the first quarter when Bam comes out, and he shorts his first 3-pointer. Donovan Cleveland gives it to him, right? He's playing off of him. Jovic makes the right decision. He steps into that 3, and he just shorts it, hits the front of the rim. He needs to make those. He comes back on the other end a couple possessions later, misses another one short. And I'm just like, why is he missing these short? And typically when a player is missing shots short, it's one of two things, right? Either it's tired legs, right? It's always legs with these guys. When they miss these shots short, the first thing they point to is their legs.
Right.
The other thing is mental. The other thing is you're a little hesitant and you're not putting the full strength of your legs into the shot because you're hesitant. It doesn't make sense to me that Nico would be tired. He's not getting a ton of minutes lately, right? Despite as grueling as this trip is, Nico's not the one affected by that as much as guys like Bam or some of these other guys who are playing heavier minutes are.
Sure.
We've talked about the mental aspect for Jovic before, and it feels like that's what's going on here is even if he doesn't have the body language after the shot, it's still the mental thing before the shot that might still be the problem with him. There was a point late in the second quarter when I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe he's starting to turn it around. He crashes for an offensive rebound. Love that. That's the level of aggression you want to see. Gets fouled by Denny Avdia. I'll just read you the note I have here from my game notes. Nico crashed for the offensive rebound, got fouled by Denny. Love it. Then missed both free throws. Hate it.
Yep.
That was the night for Nico.
Yeah. I remember.
No, actually, I take that back. That was the best version of his night. Usually it was just mostly hate it. There was no love it's.
Yeah, nothing to offset it before.
Right.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess, I keep thinking I don't want to pick at necessarily Nico because everybody was fatigued or something. Because, Bam Adebayo going 1 of 7, Norm Powell 0 for 7, Jaime 0 for 2, 1 for 7 on 3-points. Yeah, all those shots missed there. But I don't know.
But you're talking about like Jaime's not supposed to make threes. We know he's a bad 3-point shooter. Bam
that's fine. Yeah,
he's streaky at best as a 3-point shooter. Nico's supposed to make these.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it because you're right that he's not getting that kind of playing time. So fatigue really shouldn't be an issue, especially at his age. I don't think there's any kind of lingering injury issue or anything like that. And yet, for him, it seems like he's lost confidence in whatever ability he has to make that shot. And so you expect him to have a bounce back at some point, but he's got to be stringing these together a lot more consistently and not a performance like tonight, especially when the game was pretty winnable. Like, as much as the deficit at the end might say otherwise, there were those moments in the fourth quarter, a few turnovers less, a couple shots knocked down, and next thing you know, Miami has much more momentum and Portland's on their heels again.
We were a couple of turnovers away from possibly talking about like this crazy improbable comeback win, despite the fact that they got outscored by 30 plus points from 3-point range. Like there was a world where we were having that conversation and giving out credit cookies in this segment instead of talking about the issues with Nikola Jovic. Now the problem is too, like, you just signed this guy to an extension. He is clearly not living up to that extension. It's been far too many games like this as opposed to that stretch where we're talking about, oh, is he kind of turning it around? Because the effort consistently is not there from him. I understand he's put in a tough spot. He's not a center, right? I get that. But they're not really asking him to do a ton of center stuff, right? They're still asking him when he's playing the 5 to space the floor to kind of try to do the Nico things, and he's not really doing those Nico things. He's settling for threes far too often. I'd like to see him duck in the way that we saw at Eurobasket, duck in and try to attack some mismatches and things like that, force some switches, use that ball handling. Like, what happened to Nico's ball handling? He's just giving the ball up as soon as he touches it now. It feels like this guy's got a nasty case of the yips. And it's not just the shooting, it's just getting rid of the rock, right? It's all of these things combined. I don't know what they do. It is too early to say that the contract was a bust or a failure because the extension is not even kicked in yet. And I want to be realistic and fair about this, but it does not look good right now.
No, I long for the days when he used to be able to snatch rebounds and ignite a fast break opportunity. That was like his best skill, and that was something you could count on. Now he's pulling down the rebound and dishing it to Powell or somebody else out there on the floor, Kasparis, whoever's out there as the ersatz point guard. And that takes away a big facet of what makes him a unique and skilled player. So he's not able to really, I don't know if he's, we've talked about Bam struggles on this new offense. I wonder if Nico is having something similar where he's just being mitigated to a specific role that doesn't maximize what his own skill set could be. Because, he talked to us at Media Day, how he wants to punish smaller players in the low post. He wants to be able to use that. And we saw that early on, but he's gone completely. I can't recall the last time he was even in the low post at all. And you're making a good point that he's relying heavily on the 3-point shot. What was he 2 of 8 from the floor? 7 of his field goal attempts were 3-pointers, and he only hit 1 of them. So
it's only
what
one
are you
2-point
doing
attempt according to my math. That's not good.
Right? Yeah, no, it's not. So there has to be a way of getting him to go back to what his strengths are. Like we saw Spo have to recognize, what, I've got to go to Bam differently in order to get him going, because we can't have him out there for 30 plus minutes, not contributing because he's struggling to find his footing in this offense. Well, you've got to do something similar with Nico. And look, some of that is on Spo.
With all due respect, I don't know that you do. Like getting
then you know what?
Stuff for Bam is different. Like Nico, if you're not ready to step up the way that Pella and Jaime did, sorry, dude, you're just out of the rotation. Now, with Kel'el out, he's back in the rotation. But I don't know that you're changing stuff. I think you got to the thing is, like, this should work for Nico, right? Like, on its face, you look at the offense, like, yeah, that should work. Getting out in the open court, if Nico has a smaller guy in front of him, go attack that mismatch. That's exactly what he's doing at Eurobasket, and he's just not doing it now.
Yeah, so I said this weeks ago to you. He just strikes me as a guy who probably needs a change of scenery more than anything else. And I hate saying that. I don't want to be rash, but we're seeing 4 years of this now, and he's not getting the opportunity. And whether he just doesn't fit the system, or the system isn't putting him in a position to succeed, or because he's got the yips, as you said, whatever the case might be, I think he needs another team to kind of find his place again, because it doesn't seem like he's going to get that opportunity in Miami. And honestly, to trade him for a backup center, somebody who can fill in those minutes and provide something of value, because right now he's not.
Maybe easier said than done. Like, who's
No,
knocking and being like, yeah, we'll take Nico with this contract.
Can't wait to pay this guy who can't hit from 3-point range. Yeah.
In terms of what they do in the short term, he is gonna. Kel'el Ware is here. He's in Miami. The team's gonna head to Salt Lake City here pretty soon. It's gonna still be Nico backing up the 5. Maybe they can do a couple of. I tweeted this, like, do you just play Wiggins as the backup 5? Do you explore Fontecchio? Just play small with no real center. Maybe that's something that they have to do, but that can't be what you do from the jump. That's not a first quarter type of decision. Nico's going to get an opportunity over these next couple of games because the Heat don't have any other options.
Look, I look at the other side of the floor tonight, and you got a guy who was struggling in Washington, could never really play particularly well, and now he's having a monster all-star caliber season in Denny Avdija. Like, is it possible that sometimes when you just get traded, maybe, I mean, did you see this kind of level of performance from Avdija when he was with the Wizards? Absolutely not. Like,
no, he wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad either.
For what? For 1 or 2 first-round picks? Like, that was a nice deal. Like, people, he was a good player for Washington. He wasn't this, right? He might make the All-Star team.
No, I see. But at some point, sometimes you just have to go to the right team in the right situation.
I mean, look at Duncan Robinson. He's playing great for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And it kind of felt like maybe he needed a change of scenery too, as tough as it was to watch him go,
Yeah, no, I get it.
No, that's your point. Sometimes it happens, but like, where?
What's the team? Yeah, what's the team that's looking at him? Like, it has to be one of those rebuilding teams, like a Washington team. Like, I don't even know what their
even then, it's like, why are they going to sink $15 million into kind of a guy that's already been in the league for what will be 4 years? It's I don't know, 5 years. There are scheduled losses. Maybe there's also scheduled losing stretches. Did he get screwed by the schedule makers in the NBA with this trip? We'll talk about that next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better, because every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. A few boosts, maybe some bonuses, and a couple surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off, and you can make a move right before the window closes. And the timing is perfect, right before the games and right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping today. during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We'll be right back.
Let's go to the text line. You can get text from us and submit questions for the post-game shows with the link in the show notes, or text 786-998-7029. This one comes from Jonah, who writes in, "It's tough that the last 3 games have literally been decided by shot variance, and this one in part by the schedule. How do you schedule a team's 3rd game in 4 nights against a team that hasn't played since Sunday in the Portland Trail?" That's a great question from Jonah. I understand that schedule quirks are going to happen, and I understand the complications of putting an NBA schedule together. The fact that Portland hasn't played since Sunday, and the Heat are dealing with the schedule that they're dealing with, that's one thing. But this is not only 3 games in 4 nights. This West Coast trip is 5 games in 7 nights. 4 of the 5 games involved are a part of a back-to-back set. It does feel like the Heat were set up to fail with this trip, and that just feels like it's somewhere in the AI algorithm, however the NBA puts together a schedule, there should be a rule like that. This can't happen. They kind of got screwed here.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's tough. I don't know. Like, I hate pointing to the schedule making as a reason for a legitimate reason for why they lost tonight. And look, fatigue is real. I get it, but maybe also the injury issues combined with the fact that they're playing 3 games in 4 nights. Like, you might have fresher legs if you have Tyler out there kind of supplementing the offense. If you have Kel'el Ware taking those minutes out, maybe Nico provides a different kind of spark if Ware's able to play alongside Bam Adebayo or get a bulk of those backup center minutes. Who knows? At the same time, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying, oh, you know what, the schedule is too tough for Miami, because I think we've seen this, whether they're have all the time in the world or no time at all. Miami just finds a way to be as inconsistent as possible. Like, following the bad loss to the Warriors, they played a great game. And I know a lot of that is because you're playing the Kings, and I understand. But you can't look at that the schedule and use that as an excuse. I'm not there. I'm not at that point where I can say, you know what, I think the schedule was playing that much of a factor. Was it a factor? Sure.
It is a factor. It has to be. Like, it is. Like, more maybe that Portland hadn't played in so long, and Miami had been playing so many games bunched together on a cross country trip. Like, it does. It has to matter. I'm with you. I don't want to make excuses for this team. You should be doing these other things. But when you talk about the things that you can control are all effort things for the most part, when we talk about the offensive rebounding and all that kind of stuff, defensive rebounding. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. When you talk about players missing shots short, like, it does, you have to wonder about it. The last time the Heat had more than 1 day in between games was December 29th to January 1st. So December 29th was a Monday. They beat the Denver Nuggets. They don't play again until Thursday, January 1st. And they beat the Detroit Pistons. That's not a coincidence that 2 of your best wins of the season came with a solid break in the middle of it, right? Like, this stuff does matter. But at the end of the day, like, if the Heat don't accomplish what they want to accomplish at the end of the season, I'm not going to look at this West Coast trip and be like, that's where it all went wrong because the schedule makers screwed us. Every team is going to have a tough break in their schedule, right? It's going to look like this or it'll look like something else. You got to deal with it, right? So that's the point. But I think it's worth pointing out, like, that's kind of weird and it feels like that shouldn't be allowed. But there it is. My only other thing here was, why was Bam in the game with 5 minutes left? This thing was over. Bench him. Like, get these guys a little bit more rest at the end of this game when it was clear that it was over. William B. writes in, Erik Spoelstra said in the pregame press conference that this team doesn't believe that they are their record. Would you guys agree or disagree with this? So Miami 23-22 right now. Do you agree with Spo, David, that this team is, I'm assuming he means better than their record?
Yeah, he said that about both Portland and Miami. We've seen the highs, and so that kind of changes the perspective a little bit. To me, I think they should be better than the record. I think that they're capable of it, but it just feels like they have those moments where they play really well against good teams, like the win against Detroit, the win against Oklahoma City, etc. Like, we see the potential is there, and then they just lay an egg, and it's hard to exactly pinpoint how good this team is because of all that inconsistency that we keep pointing to. But I would say that they're probably better than the record. I think where we had them in our preseason prediction is about I'd say 5 or 6 games above where they currently are in terms of their record, and that hasn't been the case. So, yeah, I think that's a realistic view. I think they have the pieces there. I mean, they have the depth and everything else, and yeah, no superstar, but it should work. Like, I don't know that anybody saw this game and said, "Yeah, Miami's going to absolutely shoot 20% from 3-point range," given who they have on this roster. And I know you're missing Davion Mitchell, who shoots well from three, and Tyler Herro, who is obviously a great offensive player, but it should not have been this bad. And so you have these outliers, but when they happen so consistency, can you really see them as outliers? And
Right.
that's what makes everything
They're
so
consistently
difficult.
inconsistent, right? And that's
Yeah.
why I always say the superpower is consistency, not the highs, not the lows. I don't want to hear about the fact that they've lost bad games that they should have won. Every team does, right? The Thunder lost to the Hornets this year. Every team loses to bad teams over the course of an 82-game season. I don't care about that stuff. To me, it's more about point differential. It's more about strength of schedule. It's more about all that other stuff kind of in the aggregate, as opposed to the anecdotal kind of evidence that you can find. The Heat have the fourth hardest schedule so far this season. They have the fourth hardest strength of schedule. That's not great for them, obviously. Yeah. They are, according to ESPN's index, 1 win short of their expected win-loss record. So in that case, if we want to just go by that statistic, Spo's right. They're not as good as their record should be. They're 1 win short. Now, I would imagine Spo's not talking about 1 win when he says that. I think he thinks that they're maybe substantially better than 23 and 22 as opposed to 24 and 21. But I don't know. They're on pace to win 42 games. That feels about right. It's easy to talk yourself into a roster when you're just looking at the roster. Like, oh, wow, Pella's playing so well and Wiggs has been reliable and all that stuff. Like, how many top 100 guys were really on this team? Like 3, maybe, right? Like Bam, Norm. I'm not including Herro because he's basically been, absent.
Wiggs? You got Wiggs as the top 100 player?
I was thinking Jaime.
Oh. Well, it wasn't that tonight, that's for sure.
No, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think overall he's been maybe, one of the best 100 players in the league this year. Top 25 guys this year, 0.
None.
Again, it's easy to look at your own roster and not compare it to other rosters and be like, yeah, there's some nice pieces here. I like it. Like Fontecchio off the bench, he's playing. No, this team's not that talented. And so honestly, when I hear Spo say that we're better than our record, for a guy who also preaches how hard it is to win in the NBA, I honestly don't want to hear it. I understand why he's got the messaging and all that stuff, but
sure,
you can't play 3 good quarters and a bad third quarter and win basketball games consistently. You just can't. It's too hard to win in this league. You got to fix things. And to me, it's a roster problem. More than anything else, it's a roster problem. And I think they're very close to what their record is. That feels about right. Last one comes from Malachi. We'll do it quickly. This team needs another big to back up Bam and Ware. I'm tired of seeing Jovic minutes, especially at the 5. I'll just say this.
Yep.
If they are serious about trying to make a push and trying to actually win games this year, because everybody keeps saying the Heat need to pick a direction. They've picked a direction. They just haven't picked the direction that you want them to pick. Their direction is we're a middling team and we're going to try to win as many games as possible as a middling team. That's the direction they have chosen, at least for now. And if they're serious about that direction, they need to add somebody for an emergency center. Too many times this season they've been in this situation where either Bam has been out or Ware has been out, and they've been in a tough spot. Golden is clearly not ready to play, so he's not an option as a two-way. You either sign somebody or trade for somebody, but by the time the trade deadline is passed, we better see them making some moves. I understand keeping that spot open right now for flexibility going into the trade deadline. I totally understand that. But when this trade deadline is over, within the next couple of days after February 5th, they better be making a move for a backup center, like an emergency center. They need to have somebody on the roster if they're serious about trying to win as many games as possible this year.
You have a name? Anybody in
Nope.
particular you see out there?
Nope.
Usually do.
Yeah, I usually do. I thought about it. I'm like, it doesn't even matter. This is a break glass in case of emergency. A night like this where you don't have to play Nico at the 5. That's it. It's not going to be a guy who's in the rotation every night. It might not even be a good player. It probably won't be. But it'll be an actual center with a player with the body of a human being with the body of a center is an improvement from where they're at right now.
Is Day'Ron Sharpe available?
Yeah, that's the other thing is people are like, oh, can you trade Nico for a backup 5 or whatever? Like you said earlier, I was like, no. You're gonna have to everybody wants to trade the bad players for good players. That doesn't work. I look at the one guy that they could probably trade for a backup center, and it's Simone Fontecchio. Like that's a guy who if you're the right team, is like, yeah, we could use some
deal.
shooting expiring. We can use some shooting off the bench. We have a reserve center who we don't really need. I'm not thinking about anybody in particular, but that's the kind of player who's okay, good rotation play, solid rotation player for a solid rotation player. Those are the kind of trades that you make. I don't know that I would do that if I'm the Heat because, again, Kel'el's your backup center. If both of these guys are healthy, I don't want an $8 million center sitting on my bench not playing. I would rather have Simone as a guy who could play multiple positions as a reserve. So that's why I say just get somebody on a veteran minimum, break glass in case of emergency. I don't care who it is. Heck, you call up Taj Gibson. I don't care. But, like, just go get a body just to have there for these kind of situations.
Okay. I mean, I'm curious to see who if they
Please
feel
don't
that
say Taj
strongly
Gibson,
about
by the
this
way.
team. No, I wouldn't mind Gibson on this roster. Like,
Oof.
is he still?
How old is he? Like 45?
No, I don't think he's quite that old, but he's certainly been
40.
around a lot. Yeah, okay. He was on a roster last year. Was it
I think
Charlotte?
he was on Hornet. Yeah, he was on the Hornets.
Yeah. I don't know.
We've
I'm trying
reached
to
the
think of
Taj
who
Gibson part of the show. No, it's not. It'll be somebody. Maybe somebody gets bought out after the trade deadline. I think that's a possibility.
Can they wait that long? Like I don't think they can.
They have to wait until after the trade deadline. You just need the flexibility, right? You need that open roster spot to take on. If you want to do a 2-for-1 type of deal, you're gonna need that roster spot. So I think you have to wait until the deadline, after the deadline at least. Thanks for tuning in to today's Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe, follow Locked On Heat so you get all the latest episodes. Follow Locked On Heat on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Heat ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnHeat.supercast.com to join the club. We'll talk to you next week.